Zachary Little.
Why would you post a picture of a patio furniture knocked over on your porch so that the new buyer knows not to put the patio furniture on?
No.
Like it looks like it's on. It looks like it's on cement blocks.
It's a camp, definitely.
And it's 200. Yeah, it looks like a KOA. And it's 265.
You're listening to Christy and I looking at real estate listings. It's October 2015, and we're trying to buy a house.
It looks like it's propped up by trash cans. Anyway,
so that would need a lot of work.
The first one that we're looking at is a $265,000 fucking paranormal activity boondoggle, and I'm a little bit insulted that she even sent that to us.
Okay, now... Yeah, this is gross.
I want to respond to this real estate agent and say, did you take these pictures, and if so, are you a sociopath?
These are other people's listings.
Okay.
They're not necessarily hers. And then the dining room off to the side.
Yeah, it looks just like their apartment. It looks like.
But how did we get here? Christy and I have long valued our status as urban dwellers. We both grew up in small towns, so for the last 10 years, we've stuck exclusively to small, creepy apartments in big cities. Okay, well, increasingly smaller cities. But our apartment here in Portsmouth, it was the envy of everybody I knew. High ceilings, right downtown. Back in the day, in Philly, if I wanted to go see a band like Tilly and the Wall or something, it was an hour by train from my apartment. Here in Portsmouth, last year, Dirty Projectors played a venue that I could hit with a rock standing on the front porch of our apartment building. And buying a house would obviously necessitate moving out of the city and leaving all that behind, which a year ago would have been unthinkable to me. But about a year ago, something started to happen. All the loud, drunk people that walked by our apartment every night seemed to get louder and drunker. Our noisy neighbors seemed to get noisier. And the small spaces in which Christy and I had once thrived were starting to feel confining. And I really started to worry about what that meant about us. You know, what was happening to us? And then rats started chewing through our apartment ceiling. So my wife called me earlier to let me know that there were rats chewing through the ceiling of our apartment. So I called my landlord, and she's having an exterminator come to the building tomorrow. And in the meantime, I had Christy duct tape over the rat hole in the ceiling. And, so then she left for work, and now I'm going into my apartment for the first time. So, am I going to have a dining room full of rats? Will the tape have held? Let's find out. Oh, good. I got another Time magazine. Great, it's dark in here. That was my boot. Don't worry, it wasn't a rat. It looks all right. The duct tape held the rats at bay. And honestly, it was exactly what I needed to have happen. No, it's not us. We're not getting old. It is this place. It's time to move on. Welcome to the last podcast. I'm your host, Zach Little. This ebusode's about houses.
Where are you living now?
I live in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but we're actually about to buy a house.
Room clean, free of all possession and debris.
Congratulations.
Buyer is encouraged to seek information from professionals regarding any specific issue or concern. This agreement is subject to the following investigations.
Okay.
And then it says,
I'm starting to think that Christy and I should pitch a reality show for like HGTV, and it should be called The House Haters. And what we do is just like go to your house and make fun of it.
I don't know, do you see this? Pond?
The pond is named Lake Pond.
Lake Pond.
What asshole named that pond?
Oh, that is so glittery.
That's a little intense. What the fuck is that?
It's a chair.
No, I'm talking about that.
Okay, this one I think we've seen before.
This house looks like a pirate.
It looks like a pirate?
It's like a pirate's face.
Yard.
It looks like a mini golf course you could put in the backyard, but it looks like a Barbie should live in the kitchen.
That is a really weird color for a toilet.
So I want to say, as we get started here, that it's important to know, for the sake of inquiry and history and everything, that Christy and I, though we have pretty well-paying jobs and pretty good credit, have no money. And I know people who they say, oh yeah, I'm broke. And it turns out they have $10,000 saved. When we hear people talk about savings accounts, Christy and I say, yeah, that sounds like a nice idea, someday. I'm not kidding about this. So from the beginning, this whole idea was kind of a heist, kind of a caper. Could Christy and I possibly just claw our way into lower middle class? We looked for houses for a couple of weeks and then we started seeing them. The very first house that we looked at was an occupied house. There was a family that was still living there. So it's very strange to be like walking around opening up cabinets, seeing the box of Cheez-Its that a real person that you don't know is gonna come home and eat later once you're done looking at their house. And the most amazing thing happened when the real estate agent, she opened up this pantry and it had a chalkboard wall on the inside. And it said on the chalkboard wall, I swear to God, to do. And under the to-do list it said, live more, laugh often. And then it said, Jeannie McMahon's ashes. It was amazing. Maybe the greatest thing I've ever seen, and maybe worth all of the stress that would follow. It's so hard to describe our needs to realtors, you know? Because they're like, what do you want in a house? And we're like, small, weird, cheap, so damaged, haunted, dangerous for children, impractical rooms that have to be used for impractical purposes, a shower, a sink. They're like, 1 level or 2? We're like, I don't know. I've never really evaluated how I feel about stairs. I guess they're fine. Number of floors, not a deal breaker. Anywhere between 1 and 6 is fine. The other thing is when they want to know your price range and you tell them, anywhere between $180,000 at the most and $10,000 maybe at the least. Before long, we'd found a house that we really loved. It was on a road called Bolt Hill. It was this kind of strangely designed, single-floor, maze-like, almost like a compound. There were 3 garages, a loft over 1 garage where my friend Jory could grow old. And it had all these strange rooms with no discernible use, which is very exciting to Christy and I. And we didn't know much about the process, so we just called the number that the app said to call. And before we knew it, we had ourselves a buying agent, a guy named Dick Sirius. Okay, that's not really his name, but it was close enough that I couldn't help but think of him as Dick Sirius all the time, and almost called him that once or twice. We're making an offer on our house right now. Like, Christy is faxing the papers over right now. It's a uniquely visceral kind of stress. I haven't really slept in like 2 days, and I have pretty much walked around feeling like I was gonna throw up that whole time, including right now. And already, there's so much back and forth, so much paperwork, so many phone calls to our guy, Dick Sirius. Because we didn't have the proper conversation about closing costs like a couple days ago, we very narrowly today avoided, getting stuck with the entire bill if this deal goes down. Anyway, in an attempt to alleviate the stress, I keep telling myself, in earnest, I keep thinking, the worst thing that could happen here is my complete and utter financial ruin. And is that so bad? I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna continue living in this apartment. I'll befriend the rats. I think another factor that motivated the whole thing with the house is that Christy and I value our independence almost to a detriment. Like, channel that impulse through a different stream, we would have ended up like really strong libertarians. You know, we got married really young. Practically speaking, it wasn't really a great idea, but the impracticality of it was part of why we liked it. And those patterns, of course, have continued for 7 years of marriage. But, you know, you want to get away with every scheme, even when you're overmatched. You always want Huck Finn to get one over on the adults. That's maybe too flattering a comparison. You always want the lawyer in the John Grisham novel to win the improbable case. Stress, I think, primarily impacts my sleep cycle, and I go through, there's like a whole arc to the way it goes. So like the first phase of me being stressed out is that I just don't sleep. All night long, I just go over like looping to-do lists in my head. And it's that kind of unfocused thought that never accomplishes anything anyway. It's just, you're just running laps in your brain. After a couple of days, I do start to fall asleep, and then it's no more restful, though, because I just have hundreds of very long dreams. Like, months pass in these dreams. And they're usually based around, like, emotionally managing a series of people. I had one the other night that Annie Clark was, like, a bar owner in my town, and she and I were best friends. And I kept trying to persuade her to keep the bar open. She was having, like, a crisis of confidence. And somehow my plan to like get her to fall back in love with our town and with owning her bar, it was tied to my friend Christina had like an art show that she was doing, which is weird because she's a science teacher. But anyway, in the dream she was like a photographer, and I don't know, I was like trying to work to make sure that her art show went off without a hitch, and somehow that was gonna make everything else all better. Anyway, after I get through all of that, I start sleepwalking. It's only happened a couple times in my life. Mostly what I will do is I'll get out of bed, I will retrieve some object and bring it back to bed. The first time I ever did it, it was a bottle of tea tree oil, which opened in the bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night after sleepwalking, and I thought we were under some kind of chemical attack, because the fumes were so strong, my mind leapt immediately to terrorism.
If the deposit is minus 1,000, then also wouldn't the down payment also be minus 3?
Well, no, because you're saying you get the deposit back.
So the Bolt Hill house was a foreclosure, and it needed work. Like, it needed a new roof. So if you'd like to buy a house, don't have any money, and need to do work on that house right away, you have to get an FHA loan. And here's where they get you. An FHA loan is intended for people who can't afford a down payment. But there is so much additional paperwork, and so many inspections and appraisals and fees, that at the end of the day, your closing costs on a deal become extremely high. We searched out a couple of different options for financing, and we ended up getting quoted figures like $12,000 in closing costs. So, you know, they say to you, oh yeah, you want to buy a house, don't have money for a down payment? That's no problem. You just need to have a huge chunk of money in like 30 days. That's not a problem, right? It's enough to almost make you a Republican. So we knew the house needed work, needed a new roof, probably needed a new furnace.
I mean, you guys are doer-uppers. That's how you strike me.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
You like a project, right?
We like a project, for sure. We knew the kind of loan we'd probably have to get was going to be bureaucratically and financially crippling. But still, we were really emotionally attached to this place. And when our offer was accepted, we were thrilled. And, you know, everybody tells you not to. But you start to do it. You know, you start to imagine your life in this place.
I think it will be.
You start to think about commuting to work in a different way. You start to think about stupid things. You start to think about what your stack of canvases that you used to have on the wall of your apartment, what it's going to look like just kind of leaned against the wall in the room where you're about to hang it up. It's nothing too ambitious. It's nothing too outlandish, the things that you dream about. But you shouldn't do it.
So by today's standards, all outlets and kitchens, bathrooms, basements, garages, all should be protected by GFC.
So what happened with the Bolt Hill house was, you know, after our offer was accepted, we scheduled an inspection.
It takes a bit more to trip that one off.
And I mean, after an hour of that inspection, I knew there was just no way.
working fine. It's just may take a
I mean, we knew in our price range we were looking at a fixer-upper, but the amount of fixing we would have to do just to make the place livable, it was going to bury us. And I knew it was over after the first hour, and I had to sit through another 2 hours of inspection, just going through the motions. And I tell you what, dear listener, I am not too proud to admit that on the drive home from that inspection, I sobbed. While I was driving, which was not safe. But it had to be done, and because it was over. So we've kind of spent the day, like, just kind of sitting around and not totally sure what to do with ourselves. We've gone on a lot of long walks with the dog. And Christy said a minute ago that she said, basically, it's like we've just gone through a breakup. And since we have been together since we were 15, 16 years old, that's not something we're, like, super familiar with. So, we're not equipped for breakups. And also, we don't really eat dairy, so, like, we're not going to sit around and eat, like, a gallon of Ben & Jerry's or anything.
Well, as far as when we were receiving the information, like, the guy was talking, and he wasn't even saying anything, like horribly bad. But every time there was, like, another bit of bad news, I could see you standing further and further away.
Yeah.
Like, you were physically signing off from it, even though you were actually, like, still, like, walking around and asking questions. You were, like, your radius was getting bigger, like, away from him. And I could tell that you were bothered. You weren't saying anything. Your voice wasn't doing anything bad. But, like, I could tell before we got in the car, like, what your reaction was going to be. I mean,
I remember Morgan once told me that the reason I didn't like the movie 500 Days of Summer was because I'd been with Christy too long to experience heartbreak. And given that losing the house at Bold Hill was like a breakup, I'm thinking that maybe he's right, and I should cut Joseph Gordon-Levitt and company a break. And if there's ever a movie that's called 500 Days of Summer Houses, I will be right there, along with everybody else, really feeling it. So time passed, you know. We went to weddings and survived the holidays. Hey, hang on a sec. How does Sam Smith already have Christmas songs out? It's like, dude, you were, like, just born. Relax. And in January, we started looking again.
alright, Kittery. There's only 6.
Time heals all wounds.
Hey, Haley, that's the candy shop. This is the one that's uber tiny.
But we certainly were like a jilted lover. You know, we were very suspicious
Not horrible.
of everywhere that we went. We weren't sure that we could be capable of loving a house again. Pretty good. It's things are moving crazy around here lately, moving fast. Well, we found another house, which I don't know if you'd heard about that yet, but Okay, so now I don't mean to pretend that we are house buying experts or anything, but second time around, we had learned some lessons. And the other thing is, once you've been looking for a house for 6 months or so, people finally start saying things like, "Oh, you know that your uncle's ex-boyfriend is a real estate agent, right? Maybe he could help you out?" And in fact, that ex-boyfriend was a little too busy with his restaurant to help us personally, but he hooked us up with this guy, Michael, and Michael connected us with this finance guru named Paula, and I mean, it was a real #squad goals dream team. The same could not be said, really, for the selling agents. So I spent all day today like a clenched ball of stress awaiting this USDA appraisal that is like the fucking sword of Damocles over my head. And I just found out a couple minutes ago that the listing agent for this property didn't show up today to let the USDA appraiser into the property. On the scale of incompetence to malice, it's starting to tip a little closer to malice with these fucking people. Melissa at Keller Williams, I will wring your heart yet, Melissa. Okay, so this house was built in 1800. It's on a river in Rollinsford, the Salmon Falls River. It's literally riverfront property. It was last occupied by a woman who died a couple years ago. It is a kooky old lady house in every sense of the word. It's all pink and teal. Oh, and also when we were viewing the place, when they opened up the hole to get up into the attic, I don't know what you call that. Not a homeowner. The attic hole. When they opened up the attic hole, 3 pictures of children fell out onto the floor. And one of the pictures of the kid, like, the eyes were burnt out. Or just worn out from dust or whatever, but still, we for sure have at least 1 ghost, maybe 3. This is exciting stuff, people. I definitely have to make sure when we draft up our offer that those ghosts are included in the sale. What's the definition of broom clean? Does it mean ghost free? I'm gonna have to ask Michael, who, by the way, we've been calling IRL Phil Dunphy. If you saw him or talked to him, you'd be like, yeah.
Sure I shouldn't be going 60 miles an hour. All of my excitement goes straight down into my foot.
I know that. I've slept with you. So we put in our offer, and it was immediately rejected. And it turned out the seller basically just objected to us wanting him to pay some of our closing costs. And so we were like, okay, let's add the amount of the closing costs that we want him to pay onto our offer and then ask him to pay them again. And then that time, our offer was accepted. So Paula got to work, and with no FHA loan, the picture was a lot less grim. And we scheduled the inspection, and it wasn't a soul-crushing experience. There were some problems, obviously. If it's a house we can afford, there's gonna be problems. But every time it seemed like things were falling apart. Every time it seemed like it was slipping out of our grasp. It didn't. But what I'm trying to say is, we bought a house. We bought a house. What? We're moving. I mean, we're packing. We're packing because we're probably moving. So, Christina Little, what are you more excited about? The house that we're going to move into soon, or the Chinese food that we're about to have delivered? Actually, I do think we should talk a little bit about what we were talking about this morning.
Okay.
Which was the idea that neither one of us knew. I think we both expected that there'd be some big moment where
turning point.
Yeah, where we knew we were getting the house. And there was no turning point.
I feel like it was like impending doom. Everyone's telling you not to get your hopes up, not to get your hopes up, and then suddenly the seller makes a move that you don't even realize is the turning point.
Yeah, no one ever says to you, okay, now get your hopes up. It's just, don't get your hopes up, don't get your hopes up, don't get your hopes up, silence. And then you just say, okay, I guess we got it. And it's like, I don't know, it's not anticlimactic because, I mean, the climax is going to be when we go to closing.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that they tell you not to get your hopes up until the point where you get there. And it's like, okay, if we aren't getting our hopes up on our own, then we're going to be sitting here in the same apartment with all of our stuff not packed at all because we weren't getting our hopes up.
Yeah, we realized yesterday that we needed to start packing up our stuff. Because...
We didn't realize yesterday.
Well, we started to get around to it finally yesterday.
Where's the packing fairy?
That should honestly be part of either your real estate agent or your finance person's job, is to tell you, okay, on this date you need to go get your home insurance binder, and on this date you need to start packing up your shit. Okay, so we're parked outside of the house for our final walk through. Now that the snow has melted, we got our first look at the back of the roof and our backyard. And they're fine. You know, I mean, I wasn't pleasantly surprised, but I wasn't horrified either.
I'm happy with the slab behind the door, though, like from the house leading out, because it's like a nice sturdy place to have chairs.
Yeah.
And it's not like a big square. It's like kind of wonky. So
yeah,
it's more
it's
like...
kind of wonky and a little bit broken, and it kind of falls in with our current creepy barn aesthetic.
I don't think it's broken.
Well, I mean, it's like it's jaggedly cut.
Well, I think that's where they took the pool out, or the pool deck, or whatever.
How close were we to having a pool?
I think it was a while.
I
don't think it was at all recently, because it looks pretty...
In New Hampshire, pools are impractical.
Well, yeah, well, how many months out of the year are you going to use it, really?
1. So, I can figure that out. But anyway, now we're waiting, and then we're going to go sign the papers. So we're both kind of like in like biological overload mode. My nose keeps running crazily.
Here.
Back to feeling like I'm going to throw up again.
Are you too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if like the people at the title company are fairly used to that. Like they're ready to. They're like they have like the vomit buckets and and tissue boxes and stuff nearby for everybody. The previous owner, Paul, he left a note on his chalkboard, which, full disclosure, we will be removing soon. But he wrote, "Make this house happy again. I hope you love it. There is good energy here."
You can let her in.
Just gotta be careful because there's poison all over.
Should we do outside pictures first?
No.
Just put our coffees down and...
Yeah. Expletive. We're about to set foot into our actual house for the first time. Shosh went way ahead of us. This is what my house sounds like. Here, I'll turn the mic up. Listen.
This song is for the rats who hurled themselves into the ocean when they saw that the explosives in the cargo hold were just about to blow. This song is for the soil that's toxic clear down to the bedrock, where no thing of consequence can grow. Drop your seeds there, let them go, let them all go. Let them all go. This song is for the people who tell their families that they're sorry for things they can't and won't feel sorry for. And once there was a desk, and now it's in a storage locker somewhere. And this song is for the stick pins and the cottons I left in the top drawer. Let them all go. them all go.
So we're going to call that season 1 of the last podcast. Just need a couple weeks to collect some more audio and get a new batch of episodes ready. It won't be long, I promise. I'm not going to pull some kind of serial season 2 type shit on you, be gone for a year, then come back really boring. I really enjoy putting this show together, and I hope that you still like it as well. I know I said that we were going to have other ways to support the show, and there'll be a little announcement in this feed regarding that pretty soon. Special thanks to Michael and Paula and Keith and our friends and family who helped us through the last 6 months or so. And thanks again for listening. Have a good couple weeks. We'll talk soon.